So far, we've talked about entities, attributes, instances, keys, identifiers, and relationships. In this video, we'll dig a little deeper into relationships and talk about something called cardinality. Now, cardinality refers to the number of entity instances in one entity related to the instances in another entity. And it's much easier to show than explain, but we'll give you a lot of words to describe it. Now, as mentioned before, there's three types of basic relationships: one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-many. And this gets to be a little bit complicated. Just so you know, one-to-one relationships are pretty rare. So I'm going to go over to the PowerPoint because it's a little bit easier to understand with these slides. So what is cardinality? And we'll read the words, but again, it's very wordy. The number of instances of entity B that are related or associated to an instance of entity A. And there's something called a minimum cardinality, which is the minimum number of instances related to an instance in A, and maximum cardinality, which is the maximum number. So just so you know, maximum is usually more of interest to us. Minimum is actually always a business rule, which means very often it's your choice. And maximum just means two or more. So if it's greater than one, it's two or more, it's a maximum. And we'll keep it simple that way. And we'll revisit this topic. And we ask, what kind of relationship is this? Well, this is what gets tricky. The way we read it is, an instance of an entity customer is related to one or many instances of orders. Now, how do we see that? Here we have the relationship, and you'll notice these two lines here. That's called crow's feet. That's a many. That's the descriptor for a many relationship. And over here, this is a one. This is actually maximum cardinality we're looking at, but let's not worry about that yet. Here's what it means. Take one instance over here. In this case, one customer. Customer ID 100, customer name Slick Willie Inc. And what we're asking is, how many instances over here in orders is related to it? Well, you'll notice we've got an order number, customer number 100 there, we've got one there, we got one there. We actually have three instances here related to this one order and one customer instance over here. So therefore, one customer may place many orders. One more time, one customer, Slick Willie, may place more than one order, so it's a one-to-many relationship. Now let's look at it the other way. Order number 2101, one instance of order, is related to how many customers? One order instance is placed by how many customers? And you see, here's the trick. The customer ID is right here. It's 100. An order may be placed by only one customer. And that sometimes takes students a while to get their arms around. But that's what we're doing here. If we look at the previous example, now these things start to make sense. Now, just so you know, we customarily place maximum cardinality next to the entity, and we place minimum on the inside. So here's how we would read this. And we always start with one of the entity where we start. So one supplier may send anywhere between 0 and many shipments. All right, that's what that 0 to many means. That means we can have a supplier over here and they haven't shipped anything. They don't have any rows in the shipment column. Now, conversely, we have this entity called shipment. We got a whole bunch of shipments here. And one shipment row is sent by, and this reads, one and only one, minimum one, maximum one, supplier. So if we have a shipment, it's got to be connected to one supplier. It can't be connected to no suppliers. It can't be connected to more than one suppliers. It's got to be only one. Now let's look at a slightly different one. One supplier supplies 0 to many items. So if these are the items that we sell, one supplier may supply a whole bunch of them. And an item can be supplied by 1 to many suppliers. So remember when I said minimum cardinality, sometimes that's called modality, is a business rule? Well, that's exactly described here. Someone made the decision an item must be connected to at least one supplier row, otherwise you can't have the item there. You got to find a supplier for it, otherwise don't put it in the item. And you could see it both ways. It could be 0 to many, it can be 1 to many. It's usually a judgment call. It's really not that big a deal. I teach it here because you might see it. It's useful to know. What we're more interested in is maximum cardinality. So, and I think this is the most difficult part of data modeling, but again, once you get it, it's pretty easy to understand. So we said we had 1 to many, 1 to 1, 1 to many, many to many. We just saw what a 1 to many looks like. Now let's look at a many to many. And this is a little bit trickier to understand. Now, let's say we sell CDs. And a CD may appear on many orders. And an order may have many CDs on it. So what would this look like? Very dated example, which just shows you how old I am. We might have a CD title called Best of Lawrence Welk, who was an old-time conductor, I believe. He had a television show back in the 60s or 70s. And we have an order number here, 100101. Now, since an order may contain many CDs, and a CD may appear on many orders, we're going to need, that's called a many-to-many. Now, what do we do with a many-to-many? Well, we have to resolve it. And let me walk through it, and then I'll let you think about it. So, but the one question you might have is, where do I put quantity? Well, you can't put it in the CD table entity because you don't know which order it's on. You can't put quantity on an order because you don't know which product it pertains to. So whenever you have a many-to-many, this is actually a pretty easy fix, but there's a lot going on here that's a little more complicated. Whenever you have a many-to-many, here's the fix. Add another entity in the middle, move these manys to the middle, and then move these as ones on the outside. And they are always 1 to 1, one and only one out here. And you're saying, Burns, what are you talking about? Tell me what you're doing. Okay, let's look at this again. We have a CD title over here. We got a whole bunch of CDs. We have Metallica. We have Beyonce. You get the idea. And these CD titles are over here. And then we got a whole bunch of orders over here. What's in the middle? The occurrence of a CD on an order. So this is a really big table because here's order 100101 and here's the title, and you'll notice here's how many quantities are on that order. If you had Beyonce, you'd have on this same order, you'd have order number 100101, Beyonce, quantity 1. Why someone would want Lawrence Welk and Beyonce is beyond me, but that's beside the point. So the point is, line item keeps track of CDs on orders. And this is how you resolve a many-to-many. Now the last type, which is pretty unusual, but you'll see it from time to time, is a one-to-one. And here's a simple example. It's very often an optional relationship. So an employee may or may not be part of a company's retirement plan. What would that look like? You have an employee table. You got a whole bunch of employees here. Some of them contribute to a retirement plan, and you put those people over here. Well, algorithm, employee ID 2007, is not a member of the retirement plan. So what does this look like for cardinality? One employee is a member of anywhere between 0 and 1 retirement plan members right here. But a retirement plan member must be connected to one and only one employee over here. So that's all three. Cardinality, there's a lot there. Just to recap, there's three types: one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-many. If you read through this, this is basically what this is saying. I think you can pick it up visually much more easily. This documentation scheme is called the Chen notation. I tend to not use it because it's just too complicated. I think just the entities and the relationships is simpler to understand. And then here's an example of many-to-many. So that's cardinality. Now let's do some examples.